Check out this tractor, guys. This is a John Deere 8560 that was made for the United States Navy. Said to be one of two, and this is the #1 serial number. So there's only 2 of these ever built with this color in the US Navy on the hood. They use these things to build runways and move stuff around on beaches and stuff. This thing is really cool. So it's got the special color. They got this big bumper on the front here. Now, other than the color, there's really not a whole lot special about this. It is optioned out with a PTO. It's got a PTO and it's got a 3-point hitch on it. So that's pretty cool. But something you don't see every day. I think it's got, 5,000 some hours on it. So I mean, it's been used quite a bit, and it's in pretty good shape for what it is. But I thought it was cool, something you don't see every day. Of course, it's got a Deere 7.6 in it, and it's all painted yellow as well. Really cool. You probably won't see another one of these, so I thought I'd show you guys. Pretty little neat piece of history with the United States Navy. All right, spring service calls 2026. Let's get some. So first thing, we're not gonna waste any time. We're gonna get right into this thing. We got a fairly new 8RT 410. It's a beast. We got a ECU code, what is it? 102.04, the air intake manifold pressure and temperature sensor, circuit low. He said it was coming on a bunch yesterday, on and off, derating the engine. And then this morning he said he's planted 13 acres and it hasn't come up since. So more than likely it's probably just the sensor, but we're gonna hook the laptop up to it and do some circuit tests just to make sure we don't have a wiring problem. And we'll probably end up replacing the sensor, so let's get into it. First thing, let's fix the obvious things. Go ahead and pop this hood up and just kind of look over the top of the engine. I got 12 gauge with me.
Woohoo!
He's pumped. This is his first spring service call.
Excited.
He's excited.
All right.
So that sensor is right up on top of the engine, up in there. Ow, that's
warm,
it's warm.
She's warm.
Yeah, don't touch the pipes. It's toasty.
Yeah.
It's up in there, but we just need to make sure we don't got any, you don't see any melted wires or anything like that. Birds like to build nests right up there where that sensor is and then catch on fire. So
I don't see anything burnt.
okay. Well,
We are.
let's hook the laptop up to it and see what we got. All right, so it is confirmed. We do have that 10204 code and the engine power D-rate. The D-rate kicks on because this code is set. Okay, so we got the sensor unplugged. So that sensor is right here, goes into the intake manifold. We got the connector unplugged. We got flex probes in there, so that is the precise terminal that fits in there so we don't damage the terminals. And then we got it hooked into a diagnostic test box right here. And then we've got our meter tied into there, measuring volts DC, and we've got 5 volts. So we're testing our sensor supply circuit, and then if I hit this S3 button on here, we're going to apply a load onto that circuit and see what it does to the voltage. And it doesn't drop down. So if it dropped down, we'd know we had an issue with the supply circuit, but now we can maintain 5 volts good, so that's good. So that first step, we were in pin 1 and 2. Now we've got to move A to 3, was it?
Yeah.
So this test box has like an A and B port on there. All right, so now we move the pin A to 3, B to 2, and we're supposed to have 2.4 volts about. Usually that's what they are, but I think it's what, like 2.3 to 2.7 is what they give you. So we're right at 2.4. So we're basically we're testing our signal circuit back to the controller right there, and I had to turn this dial, this S1 to 9. Basically all that is a variable resistor to kind of get the correct resistance that, you know, the sensor would normally have right there to get a good signal back. And it's good. So I'll move A to pin 4, B to pin 2, move this to 7. That's what the diagnostic said to do, and we're double checking that signal circuit. See, this has 2 signal circuits because this sensor measures pressure and temperature. So now we test the meter, 2.5 volts, so we're good there. So I'm gonna use the Milwaukee precision blower to kind of clean out around that sensor, because basically now, since we tested the circuits, they're all good. We're gonna replace the sensor here. .27 millimeter. Get that threaded out. And there it is.
Okay.
New sensor. Threaded into the hole. So you always want to clean around any sensors that are going into the intake manifold, because I've seen like rocks and stuff get up in there, and if you're not careful, you'll drop a rock down the intake, and guess what? It goes right into an intake valve. So you can damage the seat. So you want to make sure that all that area is cleaned out real good. Now you don't go terribly tight with these, because those threads are just brass and they're not solid. It's kind of hollow.
Get it right,
Just, you know, kind of hand snug. I kind of choke up on the ratchet and just
barely.
Just tighten it like that, and then you're good. Clear the codes out. And then stored codes. And we'll just let it sit here and run and see what happens. So we got it sitting here running now. I mean, could we have just shown up here and removed and replaced the sensor and sent the tractor in the field and just see if the code came back? Yeah, but I don't want to teach 12 gauge here to just be a parts changer. we got to be able to know how to properly diagnose these sensors. So, you know, like in this situation, this thing hasn't acted up this morning yet. He's planted 13 acres. You just throw a sensor at it without verifying that the circuits are good. You might go on to a next service call, and then guess what? This guy gets back in the tractor, and then the code comes back, and now you're kind of in a bind because you're already on another call, and now you got to come back and diagnose this one. So you want to try to get it in a habit of
testing the wires.
Of just testing the wires. Go ahead and do that. Now, let's say the code was active when we got in here. Like just turning the key on, the code was active. A quick thing that you could do is just unplug the sensor, and then if you've got a new sensor with you, you could just plug it in, and then if that code immediately goes to stored and clears, most likely it's probably the sensor. Now you can do your due diligence and go ahead and check the circuits and everything like that, but that'd be the only time that I'd, you know, actually just plug a sensor in if we had like an active code,
right? Exactly.
You know, and you could just use the sensor to test it. So we're gonna let this thing run, and most likely it's probably resolved, because I've had quite a few of those sensors go bad. It's a special type of sensor that measures pressure and temperature, but they use them in multiple places now on the engine. Like they use them for fuel pressure and temperature, intake air temperature and pressure. They're starting to use more sensors that measure more than one thing. So we can try to eliminate the amount of wires that's actually on an engine harness, if that makes sense. Next service call, 9520. Yes, this is the 9520 that we ended up putting a long block in. And you know what? We forgot to nickname this tractor. I believe it was in the shop long enough to get a nickname. And we're gonna call this tractor Milkshake for obvious reasons. Oh man. Holy moly.
Look what it did to the thrust bar. I've never seen that happen.
If you haven't watched that video on that series of 9520, basically the water pump went out, dumped a bunch of coolant down into the crankcase, and we tried to save it with the water pump and drain all the coolant out of the crankcase and got it filled up with oil, but the damage was done to the main bearings, so we had to put a long block in this tractor. Now the customer's been running it, and he called and said that there was an engine oil leak around the where the high pressure fuel pump's on the back of the head. Now we've put new O-rings on that and everything, but we're gonna get this hood open and see what's actually leaking here. All right, my brand new shiny engine's all dusty. Anyway, there's that fuel pump, and it looks like it's coming out right in there. So I'm going to remove this fuel pump off of here. It's pretty simple. There's just 2 fuel lines, and then there's 4 13mm bolts that hold it on, and we should be able to get that out. And I got an O-ring for, because this plate, there's an O-ring on this plate, and then there's an O-ring that goes around this pump too, but it looks like it's just coming out where the pump goes in. This is crazy, guys. I started taking the bolts off this pump. This pump is broken. I have never seen one of these break before. Now, I didn't put this pump on new. It was replaced back in 24. We just reused this pump, but look, it's broke. What in the world? So we're gonna need a fuel pump. Well, it's windy out here on the prairie. I apologize. I got this pump off and it broke. The corner's off. I have never seen that happen before. I mean, the pump feels okay. And the bolts were tight. You know, they didn't come loose where this thing would like vibrate and beat itself to death and just break itself. It's freaking weird. Well, I have to get a new pump. All right, so I got a new pump coming. Actually, there was one more piece that broke off that I couldn't find. It actually broke 3 of the mounting flanges off the pump, but all the bolts were still there. It just cracked and broke, and then the pump, you know, kind of separated enough to where it'd leak out that O-ring. That fuel pump was like the one thing I didn't replace on the engine. I didn't replace the fuel pump because it was, you know, only 2 years old, and I didn't replace the starter. Everything else was new. So I was making sure that the coupler and the drive coupler on the camshaft was good. And it's good. It doesn't wiggle or anything like that. New pump is on, and I'm priming it up. All right, fire it up. So we got Milkshake running, and everything's running perfectly fine, no leaks or anything. I went ahead and topped off the engine oil. It just needed a splash, you know, probably about a quart of oil or so. So you behave yourself, okay? I don't want to spend any more time with you, Milkshake. You be good. Let's go on to the next one. All right, so we're back at the shop. This is my shop project. I actually had it hauled in. This is a 7330 premium, and it actually defaulted to neutral when in a park in the field. It had some transmission codes, so we got it back in the shop, and the codes were for, this has got an IVT, and there's a proportional solenoids in the transmission for forward and reverse, and it was throwing a fit about the circuits going to them. So we took off this panel. There's a panel right here, and took the connector off the transmission controller, and we ohm test the wires through the solenoids, and it was 6.7 ohms, which the spec was like 6.4, so it's close enough to where I don't want to have to tilt the cab to actually get to the transmission connector and go any further with that. So it did have some communication codes and stuff in it, so we replaced the CAN bus terminators and then cleared all the codes out and took it out and drove it, and the 12 gauge drove this thing around for like an hour, and it ran perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden it just threw a code and came to a stop, and it threw a code for the left brake pedal switch left on. And so we got this brake pedal switch out. This is what it looks like on an IVT, and you have to disassemble the whole entire steering column to get it out, because it mounts right up here. See that empty spot? Mounts right up there. So whenever it failed, I was able to get up in there and look at the address for this brake switch, and it showed that this left side was on. And I just kind of lifted up on the brake pedal a little bit, and the address went to a 0, which means it was off. And then I messed with it, you know, with the brake on and off, and it was working fine. So I think there's something intermittently wrong with this brake switch. So I got a new one coming for tomorrow. So we're gonna pause on this for now. Let's see what Ben's doing. I came over here, and Ben's got this tractor. What is it, 7200?
Yep.
All tore apart, and he was all sweating. I'm like, why are you sweating so bad? And what'd you say?
I told him I'm a homesick Eskimo.
And yeah, I got tickled. A homesick Eskimo. He's just,
I think about work and I start sweating. See, my glasses are fogging.
man,
Yeah, it's gonna be a long summer.
I'm going to be calling you the homesick Eskimo for a hot minute now. That was hilarious. What are you doing? You taking the final drive off to go into the brakes?
Yeah, we had some brake material in the bottom of that axle.
Oh no.
Getting that oil out, and it was very ominous.
Been there.
It was deja vu for sure.
They-
Except it didn't go plop or plink this time. So.
yeah, but my holes didn't work on this final for apparently.
Fortunately, no.
So you're drilling new holes.
Yep. If that thing was spun 180, it'll work just cherry. You got 2 holes right here.
Oh yeah, well, before you know it, that plate's going to look like Swiss cheese.
We're getting there. I'm kind of re-evaluating my layout here because, yeah, we might sacrifice a hole, but it'll be fine.
Well, you can't sacrifice those holes because I have some fixtures that go into those threads.
Oop, I thought it was these. Are you sure it's not
Like
these?
the
Outer corners?
the ProDrive transmission fixtures and the hydromotor fixtures and stuff. So don't turn her into too much of Swiss cheese, or I can't use
Stop,
my
you know.
my transmission jigs for combines.
just, put a washer and a nut on it.
No, bad kitty. Bad kitty. Well, good luck and Godspeed.
Thanks. Bye.
Got a new brake switch in there, and I got it adjusted to where it isn't so sensitive. Before, you would just barely touch this pedal and it would click. So I think I got it working better. But now I just got an email. We got to go on another service call. Here's the next service call. Got a 9520R. There's a bird stuck in this hood. Here, open this. Use your strong hand, child. It's flapping around. It doesn't want to leave. Get out of here, bird. Anywho, I got a picture from this customer, and this pipe right here is a sensing pipe for the exhaust pressure sensor, and it goes into the inlet of the EGR cooler, and it is broke off. Isn't that fantastic? Great. Well, dadgummit. Don't you hate when that happens? So we gotta extract that broken piece out of the EGR cooler. It's time to spray and pray. Drink up, little buddy. Let that soak. All right, let's heat the situation up. I've never gotten these fittings out without heating them up first. Okay, we're gonna try the Matco extractors. We'll wait until it works before I tell you about them and brag. Here, 12 gauge, I need you to tap on this.
You ready?
Yeah.
Win.
Yep. Come on, baby. Maybe I can control some of the bending. Oh, it's slipping. I mean, these grip really hard, but the material just gave way on that fitting before it would turn. So I got a snap-on spiral fluted extractor in there now. That baby's in there now. And it's windy out here on the prairie today. So, new plan. It's to the point where I'm gonna have to drill that out and tap it with a pipe tap. But you just can't get the right angle. My chuck's gonna hit this U-pipe right here, and there's no room for error because that cooler, there's nothing wrong with the cooler, and it's $2,400 and no one around close has one. I'd have to order one from Deere. So I want to take this cooler off and get it onto clamp it into my vise to where we can do surgery and get that hole fixed right and threaded correctly so we can reuse this cooler and save on some money. So you guys seen me pull these EGR coolers off before, so I'm gonna go ahead and get all the pipes ripped off here. It's pretty easy. I'll probably have this off in like 10 minutes, and we've already got the coolant drained. We drained the engine block down, so it's just taking this clamp off, taking this pipe off here, that pipe right there. You take these 3 clamps off, and then there's another coolant pipe down there in the corner, and taking these oil lines off right here to gain some room, and then it just comes right out. Tailgate surgery. We need to be able to get this hole to 1/8 27 MPT pipe thread. So our final hole size is 21/64. So we're going to start drilling this out. Come on. Looks like I probably got to go deeper to get more width. We're going to put some Matco Hyper Stuff cutting tool lubricant on here.
So what's that do?
Just lubricates it, helps cut better. You already tell it's going in easier. See, once we get to that hard spot, see now I'm not struggling as hard.
Right.
whatever's left of that fitting
Is there?
is in the tab. Take that. Oh, baby.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm gonna put some high temp thread sealant on there. Now people, you don't have to thread these in super tight. And I did notice that somebody had they replaced the cooler because this wasn't green anymore, but it had green straps on it. And somebody reused the one-time use straps that you're not supposed to. And when I took the bolts out for the straps, they were not very tight. So if you don't put new clamps on it, you can have excessive vibration, which could have led to this little fitting breaking off too. So, and I don't put them in super tight. I mean, see how much I'm choked up on that wrench. Just like that, and we're good. So now we're waiting on parts. I got some guys bringing me all the gaskets and O-rings and seals and stuff to get in the straps to get this thing back on. Just had to pry this metal seal out. We got an O-ring to pick out here, an O-ring to pick out here. That's where coolant comes in and out of these ports. Exhaust comes in this port, out this port. All right, we got everything cleaned up. Always put a rag over this coolant pipe so we don't get any dirt or nothing in it. Okay. Yeah, I'll need bands. So I'm just gonna get everything all hooked up, torqued to spec. Now, when you torque these, you want to get your lines and everything lined up first. Like we know we need to get this sucked into there and get that joint tight. We need to get, you know, all the pipes lined up correctly first, and then we'll get these straps on, and then I torque them to about 15 foot-pounds evenly, and then the final torque is 30 foot-pounds. Okay, so I still got to get this pipe up here. I had to take it off and replace the gaskets between the pipe and the EGR valve so we can swing that down and get that hooked up. But I want to get this all hooked up, and then we'll fill it up with coolant and get the new pipe for the sensor, for the exhaust pressure sensor, and we'll be done with this job. The cooler is all on and torqued, and I got some high temp lock C's put on the fittings, and then I'm gonna put my pipe in there. So the thing is the threads here will get seized, and then people try to take this pipe off, and a lot of the times they'll break that fitting off in there. So you want this piece to be the easy thing that turns off there, not the fitting trying to turn in the EGR cooler and breaking. So put some high temperature lock C's on there, and it's all done. What a job for just a little broken little fitting, good Lord. But we didn't have a terrible amount of time on it. I mean, we worked on the 7330 this morning. We drove about 45 minutes here, and we got this done right about noon. So we ain't doing too bad on time. Let's fire this thing up 12 gauge. Well, the tractor ran good until the turbo actuator decided to take a crap. So it was setting a calibration fault for the turbo actuator, and you can move the linkage up and down just fine. The wiring's good. I cannot get that thing to calibrate to save my life. So I got a turbo actuator ordered for it. I won't have one until the morning, so we're gonna have to put a pin in that situation. Don't you just love busting your butt trying to get one thing fixed? And then you get it fixed and you get it running, then you discover a new problem? Gosh, love that. Next service call. Drove an hour to get to this one. Still can't escape the wind. But we got an 8370R here. The customer sent me a picture of the fan drive, and let me tell you what, it's not doing so hot. Oh boy. Uh-oh. That doesn't look good, 12 gauge. Oh dear. Look at the belt. Look at this belt.
It's gone. It's like almost gone.
Holy moly. Boy. She is not having a good time. All right, well, we're gonna have to take the fan off. We're gonna have to take the fan drive off. We'll have to take this shiv off here. Take the fan, get the belt off, take this drive out, take that drive out, and probably just put all new fan drive and driven in if I had to guess. Giddy up. Wiggle jiggle. There it is.
I'm taking it.
All right. Isaiah's almost got the driven out. Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
What a trooper.
Yeah, man.
Just pull the thing off. Oh my. Pull this off. Just this. Look in that. Look inside there.
Wowzers.
That's what's left of the bushing. Nothing. Look at the shaft.
That's crazy.
Ow.
Yeah, wore the crap out of it.
Well, that needs replaced. Got a brand new fan driven. Gonna put that in there. Of course, I stuck a dowel in there to help him. Oh yeah, get it up on the other one, bottom one, remember? There you go. That kind of helps you hold it. Now take a bolt, shove it in that top one, and just run it all the way in by hand. Get that all the way up, flat against it. There you go. And that'll hold it in place so you can get all the other bolts in. That wasn't too bad, man. You handled that like a champ.
Trained by the best?
Don't need no strap to hold that up.
No.
Now on a 9R, that's a different story. Those babies are heavy. Real heavy. Well, I don't know how well this audio is going to come through, but the customer decided, I told him that this fan drive, the other fan drive, looked okay. I didn't see anything wrong with it, but I told him, you know, we got it out. He said, well, might as well put a new one in. You already got that one out. You got the same amount of age on them. So I said, okay. So we got a brand new fan drive here. We have to transfer the hydraulic fitting, and then you also have to transfer the vent. And this bolt right here is a shipping bolt that keeps the shiv from moving. So you take that out, and notice how there's an O-ring on it. There's already an O-ring on that. So then you thread the vent in that hole. You take the O-ring off this belt, and what you use this bolt for later, you put it here. This is the storage position, and so you can use that bolt to hold this inner shiver or pull it in, retract it later for service if you want to. So I always just put the bolt back in that hole there. That's the storage position. Now we got the vent, and we just need to put a little grease around that right there and clean the hole up that it goes into and shove that bad boy in. But before we put it in, we need to take all these bolts out, take this outer shiv off, because we won't be able to get the belt on unless the shiv's off. Plus it'll make it just a titch lighter. You can do it. There you go. Yeah, get that gear started. So if you turn that shaft to your left hand, there you go. try to get a bolt started. Just put all the bolts in. Now the secret is to pry the sheave open. Shove that belt in there. You're getting a new bite. There you go. We're just gonna open it up as much as we can. There. Now slide your belt over your drive shaft, and now you should be able to get your outer sheave on.
I can let it go?
Yeah. Yeah, so the spring's gonna hold it in place. It ain't going nowhere.
Okay, I'm just making sure, you know.
Yeah, that new Milwaukee ratchet will hurt you bad.
Oh yeah, it will.
There you go. Fully rebuilt. 12 gauge is gonna fire it up, turn the AC on so that fan drive will go. Behave yourself now. I'm getting the heck out of Dodge. I bet my audio on that last job is just going to be absolutely horrendous.
I believe it.
I mean, I had the dead cat over my mic, but it was like...
That dead cat ain't doing nothing.
It was like 30 mile an hour sustained winds out there.
Really?
And we did a NASCAR pit stop on that fan drive.
That's right, we did.
Now it's almost 6 o'clock and we've got an hour drive back.
We're gonna enjoy it.
It's time to crank up the tunes.
It's time to crank up the tunes.
I'm thinking
Pump up the jams.
some Creed. Let's do it. All right, we're back at the 9520R here. Next morning, we're going to be replacing this turbo actuator right here. So we just got to get the coolant lines out of it, get the linkage disconnected, get the wiring harness unbolted, and then there's just 4 10mm nuts that hold that on, and then it just comes right off. All right, well, I got updates. So the actuator didn't fix it. What I found out with this level of ECU software that this tractor has, it basically has the ability to detect an excessive worn turbo. So whenever that turbo actuator moves, it has encoder counts. So the encoder counts go from 241 to 300. Whenever it goes over 300 during a relearn, then it sets this code. It's a calibration fault, and then it puts a D rate with that code. So when I go in and look at the encoder count, it's hitting 311, which is a little bit out of spec, but if it goes beyond, I think, 304, it actually sets the code. So even though we can move the linkage and the vanes in the turbo perfectly fine, the problem is that it's moving too far, just enough to whenever you key it on, when you key it on, it does a sweep on that turbo actuator. And if it goes over that encoder account, then it's going to throw this code, which is what it's doing. So now I had to order a turbo. I was trying to save the guys some money and not, put the turbos are, over $4,000 for these things. So I was trying to save a little money by just trying an actuator first. But anyway, what I'm going to plan on doing is getting a brand new turbo, and then I'm just going to set the turbo up on the tire. They come with a new actuator. I'm going to plug it in, and then we'll do the learn value reset, and then turn the key off, turn the key on. It'll do a learn, and then see what our encoder count is with a brand new turbo. If it's 300 or less, then I think we'll be good to go, and then we'll replace the turbo. So that's going to be a tomorrow problem now, so we're going to move on to the next service call. All right, next morning, we had a change of plans. We had to divide and conquer. So I sent Patty with that new turbo out to that 9520R, and he said he was going to get some video for me so I can show you guys that here in a minute. I had to have 12 gauge, get that 7330 back together in the shop, and then he's going to drive it around for a while. I had some other tractors I had to go diagnose this morning that I couldn't get on video, but now I'm on my way out to a 9620RX. And what Patty showed me this morning, that when he put the new turbo on there, that I think he said the encoder count when he did a relearn was like 286, so it seems like that's going to fix the issue. He's going to go ahead and replace the turbo on the 9520, and now I've got parts to go fix a 9620RX that has a 15-liter Cummins in it. It's setting boost pressure codes, and yesterday it set a fault code for the EGR pressure sensor. I didn't get that part on video, but I went out there and did the circuit tests on the pressure sensor for the EGR, and ended up replacing the sensor, running it. Everything seemed to be fine, but whenever they took it out to the field and put it under a load, it set a boost pressure code, which we didn't have that code yesterday. But now that we've got the EGR pressure sensor reading correctly, I think it has the ability to see that we're losing boost pressure. And I did notice yesterday that there was some black soot coming out of the EGR outlet pipe, because it just clamps with a rubber boot and a clamp at the EGR valve, and I did notice some soot coming out there, and I did tighten the clamps up. I didn't see anything kind of ripped or torn or blown apart to where it'd be causing that leak. So now I'm going to go out there and we're going to fix that known EGR leak, because if we do have a leak in the EGR system, it could cause this boost pressure code. So I'm on my way out there to go fix that right now, but it did rain like an inch last night, and I'm going to have to drive down a grass lane to get to this tractor, so I might have to lock in the hubs on the 05. But here's the footage that Patty got from that turbo job. I have no idea what this is going to look like, so prepare yourself.
So I don't know if anybody can hear me or not, but this is Patrick. I'm out here at this 9520s that's been working on, and with the turbo actuator fault, calibration fault, and he had something else going on this morning, so I got nominated to come up here. So we've got the new turbo laying up here on the tread of the tire, thankfully, and we got it plugged in, and we're going to go up there and run the calibration and see if the code goes away before we go bolting onto the tractor. So we're up here in the cab. You can see that the turbo is sitting down there on the tire, still plugged in, and no codes. We'll do refresh again. No codes. So perform the learn value reset calibration procedure that you always have to do when you plug in a new turbo or an actuator. And came up here after I let it sit for 120 seconds like you're supposed to, keyed on, and went to our VGT encoder count, and we are now below 300, which Zeth said he was at like 311, I believe, and now we are sitting at 286, and we have no active faults. We can double check over here. Yeah, no active faults. No active faults over here. So in theory, turbo is the issue. So we'll get the hood tilted and start getting that swapped out.
Okay, I found it. Oh boy. It feels a little soft. And we made it. Guess what? It's windy again. Got the hood opened on here. See all that black stuff? That's soot leaking out of that rubber hose there. So that pipe comes down, connects to the EGR cooler right there. So I'm gonna get this pipe off. Well, I got that pipe off. You can see where it was leaking and dripping soot, leaking soot down that pipe. Now, why we use a rubber boot on an exhaust gas recirculation pipe is beyond me. All the Deere engines use nothing but steel, bolt and steel together with steel gaskets. But on a Cummins, we have this. Why? I did get the EGR pipe installed, and it does have some new clamps that have springs on them, so hopefully those will do a little better job. And down here you replace a little rubber gasket right here and rebolt that on. So I guess we'll run it and see what happens. Well, I got to running it and feeling it around, trying to see if there was any more boost leaks anywhere. And I've got a boost leak right here, right where that rubber hose meets the aftercooler. So now I gotta get another hose and clamps for that. I'm back with parts. What a journey. Got the new Milwaukee ratchet and the extra deep Matco 7/16 turbo clamp socket. All right, got all the clamps loose. This one was leaking right up in here. All right, well, I'm gonna get this cleaned up, get some new hoses and clamps on there. Try it again. All right, brand new hoses and clamps. Let's run it and see. It's just purring like a kitty. No codes, we'll take it. Turned out to a beautiful afternoon. Wind's dying down, I'll take it. What a beast. Putting on anhydrous. You behave yourself now. No more boost leaks. All right, next day. So Patty comes up to me this morning. He's like, you know how we're just swapping turbo jobs on each other? Guess what? You get to go put this turbo on this 8345R. So he hands me all the parts to do a turbo on here that he diagnosed. So we kind of just swapped jobs. I had him do a turbo, and now I've got to do a turbo for him because he had somewhere else he had to be today. We're putting a turbo on this thing. We already got it off. See, it's already, we got it yanked off, and we got a new one sitting here on the table. I had to send the customer to get some more parts because my service manager didn't order enough stuff. So customer went to go get that, and then I guess when he was at the dealership, he decided, well, while we already have the coolant drained, this thing's got, I think it's got around like 2,500 hours on it. He wants to go ahead and do a water pump on it. So I ordered all the parts to do a water pump. So we're gonna get this turbo on here, and then we'll tear into the water pump, and then I think that's all we got to do. But it's plenty of work to do, so we're gonna get after it. Time for a new turbo. Just get her on down in the hole. get this under. Hold on. Hold on, I gotta get this pipe lined up. Okay, it's kind of started. There it goes. Okay. Snugged.
Snugged.
All right. Whoa. Got the turbo on. We already got the fan drive and the driven off. The fan drive is not in good shape, but it's got the updated driver or the driven in it. So we're gonna put a new drive in when we go back together. So we've already got the rest of the radiator drained. So we're about, I don't know, 50% there on the water pump already while we were waiting on parts for this. And now we just get the coolant lines put in here, new O-rings and seals everywhere where they need to be, new clamps, gaskets, all that good stuff. We'll get that put on and torqued, and then we'll calibrate it. Well, can't really calibrate it without it running, so we're going to have to go ahead and do the water pump next. So let's get that done. Well, we got the turbo job done, and we already got the water pump yanked out of this thing. See? And it was pretty nasty. New water pump and gaskets are in. We also took the thermostat housing off and we replaced the thermostat. You just got to unbolt this pipe and 3 bolts, and this slides out, and then there's one thermostat in there. So we already got that done. So we're ready to put the cover on and start slapping parts back on. While I'm getting it back together, man, that's a lot of crap to hook back up. Lord have mercy. How you coming along, 12 gauge?
Pretty good.
We're gonna put a new fan drive in. Yeah. Got the driven into place. Just need to get that new belt tucked in there. And then we can put that new fan driven in. I think I'm gonna fill this thing up with coolant. And it's all done, back together. New fan drive on there, new belt. Now I gotta fire this thing up and calibrate the VGT. All right, fire in the hole. So I just did the VGT learn value reset. So I just got to let it sit for a couple minutes, and then I'll fire it back up and it should learn the turbo. All right. And the VGT vane position is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So there's a position sensor on top of that turbo that measures where the vanes are. So yeah, it's right on the money. All right, I made it back to the shop. That was a lot of work in one day. So that was basically a week's worth of service calls, but you didn't get to see all of them, but you know, I try to put the ones that were the most interesting in there. So that's going to do it for the first episode of Spring Service Calls. So hope to see you guys on the next one, and until then, keep that green iron moving.